So how do you reduce corporation tax rates from April 2023? That's a great question given all of the tax changes that is about to commence. So check out this video as we go through all of the essential details. So there are a variety of ways that you can take money out of a limited company. You can take it in the form of wages, the things that you do on behalf of your company, and it's giving you a salary or a wage. You can take dividends out of a company, and that's after tax profits that you make. You can then take those in the form of dividends from the company, almost like a return on your investment. Interest on loans. So if you've provided a loan to your limited company for the activities it does, which is quite typical for landlords, to be honest, because you have to put the deposit into the limited company and then get finance on the rest of it. But you can charge it interest, pension contributions, and the vouchers as well. And we're going to go into each one of those in a little bit more detail. First one, let's take about wages. Now, people will talk about, well, you can take up to your personal allowance of £12,500. I think that's a dangerous thing to do, and that's because you've got national insurance on both the employer and the employee. Now, effectively, things have changed, so the employee national insurance is not going to penalise you, but please note, if you're a director, you will have to pay employee national insurance over £11,908. So you're thinking, well, should I just pay myself that amount of wage? And then I would say no again. Why? Because you've got employer national insurance at 15%. So you've got this 9,100, 15% national insurance stealth tax that you need to pay. So what is the optimum solution? I tend to say to people, get some tax advice, because if you are in a job somewhere else and you take money out of a limited company, you are emergency taxed, and therefore you pay the maximum amount of tax and national insurance, which is never a good thing for you. So you do need to get some tax advice on this one. I typically say around about £8,000–9,000 is about right, but it does depend on your specific situation. So make sure you get the right tax advice before you do anything when it comes to wages. There is a £5,000 employer national insurance credit for any limited company you have that has 2 employees that are not directors. So if you have employees, you are a sizable business with employees, then you can get this £5,000 national insurance credit. Therefore, paying yourself that amount, are you better off by paying yourself more than the 9,100 shown on the screen? That's a great question, but it's not something that I'm going to be able to answer on YouTube. Let's talk about dividends. So what is a dividend? So just imagine that you had profits after tax, that is, of £10,000. You can take that £10,000 in the form of dividends out of your limited company. A lot of detail here. There's some percentages which I would suggest you read and then contact your tax advisor, your accountant, to understand it more. But in effect, you will see a basic rate taxpayer taking dividends out of a company will be taxed at 7.5% before April 2023. Beyond that, it's 8.75%. High rate taxpayers, well, you're looking at currently before April 2023, you're looking at 32.5%, moving up to 33.75% after April 2023. So significant amounts of taxes there. An additional rate taxpayer, you can look at that yourself. You can take tax-free dividends out of a limited company of £2,000. That is before April 2023. Then it goes down to £1,000. Then in April 2024, that tax-free allowance is reduced again to £500. So half basically. Now, the key thing here is, well, could you have more shareholders in your company? Do you pay your adult children money to do whatever they need to do? Do you pay your adult parents? Of course, they would be adults, right? But you know what I mean. So your parents, do you pay them money for their care in any way possible? I know I do. So I pay my mum dividends from the limited company rather than paying myself and then having to pay her out of that. My company's already paid the profits. She's got a share. She's a shareholder. Therefore, why am I taking money out myself, being taxed, and then paying her money? Doesn't make sense. So I'd rather do that through the limited company. You could do the same thing. And that's using alphabet shares in your limited company. So if you don't know what they are, please do get some tax consultation time appropriately. Taking interest. So again, if you've got money that you have loaned to your limited company, let's imagine that you've got £10,000 worth of loans that you passed through to the limited company and it now owes you that money. The nice thing about that £10,000 is that it's tax-free. You can take that money out anytime and there will be no tax consequences on you, which is a nice bonus. However, you could do something a little bit more extra. You could charge it interest on that loan of £10,000. Now, I do say here commercial rates of interest. Now, if you charge between 8 and 10%, depending on the Bank of England rate, where it is, does it seem reasonable for you to charge an interest rate that high? 8%, most certainly. 10%, maybe a little bit more challenging. But if you have a £10,000 loan, you could charge 8% and therefore take that interest. You could take some of that tax-free. I mean, if you're a basic rate taxpayer, you will get £1,000 worth of interest tax-free. So you do not pay any money to the HMRC on your self-assessment tax return for that interest. If you are a high rate taxpayer, you can still get £500 worth of interest tax-free, again, not having to pay anything on your self-assessment tax return. Additional rate taxpayers, sadly, you don't get any tax-free allowance on any interest that you charge your limited company. The big thing about this is that you do get a nice saving on corporation tax because it is a cost to the company and therefore it will get a reduction in corporation tax. Pensions, I'm a big fan of people looking at spreading risk, looking at long-term investments. Pensions is a solid one. Now, people think, well, if it's in a pension, I don't have control over it. That is nonsense. You can use a SIP or a SAS pension that you set up, and you control it. You can tell what that pension is going to be investing in, as long as it's not residential property, but you can invest in stocks and shares, insurance products, commodities, various other things. Now, what you do need to bear in mind is that you can put in £40,000 worth of money from your limited company into your pension, provided that there are no form of exclusions, which you do need to get some tax advice on. So £40,000 in general terms, you could be invested into your pension from your company and it gets corporation tax relief on that money put in, which is lovely. Lovely? Okay, not the best choice of words, but you know what I mean. Reduces corporation tax, as we just said, it's a cost of the company, reduces profits, reduces tax, and it will also reduce inheritance tax, because if you have an investment company with lots of cash, then that company will be valued with that money inside of it. Therefore, you will have to pay inheritance tax. But did you know that pensions can come outside of your inheritance tax estate? Therefore, you put in money from your limited company, which is subject to inheritance tax, now goes into a pension and it's free from IHT. Plus, you get a corporation tax saving as well. So, in effect, you're saving 60% tax by doing that. So, worth doing? I'll let you decide. Vouchers, always a nice, clever one. It's still something I don't do properly on a regular basis, but you can pay yourself vouchers or any employees. I mean, we do it for employees quite a lot. Funny enough, we've got a great team. We reward them. They get the vouchers. Myself and Louise don't. We're not the best at this, I've got to be honest. But you can pay yourself vouchers, and that's £50 each. As long as you don't go over £300 in any given year per director, then there are no issues with that. So again, it's tax-free money that you can spend on Amazon, for instance, every 2 months, £50 voucher, nice, happy days. It does reduce your corporation tax as well. So really nice saving for you to be had there.